Welcome to itguru.com. This is the first lecture in a series of how to have a win at university and get your degree with the least amount of stress. So, in simple terms, what are the 2 or 3 most important things you need to get through uni? Well, the first thing is not to be super smart. The 2 key things are being organized, so time management, and work. And if there's a third thing, it's how much you actually want it, right? That level of motivation. That's what it takes to get through uni. And your ability to sustain that motivation and that organization for the length of the degree, be it 3 or 5 or 4 years or however long the course is. So let's move into this as quick as we can. This is about the habits of a good university student. The first thing is to be taking a professional approach to university. Well, what if you had a job that was worth 100, 200,000 a year? You'd turn up on a regular basis, you'd be energetic and enthused to do that. Same applies when at university. It's exactly the same thing. If you've got that professional manner as though you're earning a top-notch salary at uni, it will all start to fall into place. Another good thing to do is to take care of yourself physically and emotionally. And so what's involved with that? Well, regular sleep, balanced diet, a good exercise routine, and the outcomes of that is that when you turn up to class, you're capable of the levels of concentration that's required for this level of work, so you can learn, and it gives you the stamina to see the semester through and maintain that level of work ethic for the entirety of the course. Okay. Not being absent for class. Well, it sounds pretty obvious, but sometimes things get in the way, like family emergencies, being contagious and being told by a doctor to stay away from people so you don't spread disease with the greatest of ease. A genuine emergency like a family funeral or a court case or something like that. But short of a genuine emergency, you should never really miss class. And on those occasions when you do have to miss class, make a point of informing the instructor that you are not going to be there and taking the necessary steps to catch up on the work covered while you were away. That might mean getting a hold of the notes, reading the chapter an extra time, covered that during that learning period. Okay, so next thing, what have we got? When you turn up for class, you're ready to work. That means you've got something to write with, something to write on. You've got any other extra bits of gear that you need, like a calculator or a memory stick or highlighters. And not only physically with your materials, but mentally, that you've done the prior reading before the class, as in read the chapter in a text, read that week's course notes if they're delivered in advance. And at the very least you would have read the beginning of the chapter and the end of the chapter summary to get a grip on what's being covered that week. Okay. Yes, be on time. Nothing more disturbing to an instructor than someone wandering in after the lecture starts. It's a good habit to start at uni because then it will be a good habit that you already have when you hit the workplace. Employers tend to not pay people all that well if they continually turn up late. In fact, people get sacked for that sort of thing. So if you're going to treat it like a job, you've got to treat it like a job. Okay, they respect their instructors and their classmates. What does this mean? Well, it doesn't mean to say that you have to like them. Okay, respecting someone and liking someone are 2 different things, although sometimes they go hand in hand. It doesn't have to always be the case. What that means is that you stay awake in class. You pay attention. You listen to what the instructor has to say. You don't do anything that's going to distract the lecturer or the people in the class around you. That might include turning your phone off as you go into the classroom and not texting while you're in the lecture hall. I wonder how hard that might be for some of us. Okay, do their assigned work and focus on their studies. Well, focusing on their studies, it kind of seems that would be so intuitive that I shouldn't have to mention it, but let's face it, a university campus is full of distractions like social clubs, sporting teams, the opposite gender, possibly a retail outlet for alcohol, a retail outlet, or several for food. The reason why you're at uni is to learn, and all of the other things are superfluous to the purpose, aren't they? Right, so a really good student, a student that's going to be successful and have a win at uni, focuses on their work and their studies. They follow all the university rules and not afraid to ask questions. Well, again, as there's no such thing as common sense, and I'll talk more about that in further sessions, following university rules like not plagiarizing, making sure that all your assignments conform to the prescribed format, and asking questions. It's critical. If you understood everything perfectly the first time, you'd never need to ask questions, and some lecturers might be a little bit intimidating, but you want to make the effort to ask questions when you don't understand something and clarify. Right? What's the worst thing they'll say? Well, sorry, can't talk to you now. Well, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Okay, they turn in their assignments on time. Typically, there will be an academic penalty if you hand your work in late. So, get your life together and hand your work in on time so you can get the maximum potential marks available for that component of work. It decreases the pressure on you, it decreases the stress that you're likely to go through towards the end of semester if you've got a higher grade walking into the exam at the end. Okay, they learn from their poor grades and use that to motivate themselves for their improved performance in the future. So, what if you did actually have a disastrous test or a near disastrous assignment handed in? You shouldn't use that as an excuse to quit and just say, well, this is not for me, I'll go off and be a gardener or a labourer or a checkout person. You should say, well, okay, what do I need to do different? Again, approach your instructors and say, look, I bombed this exam, what do I need to do, how can I improve for next time round, and use that as a driving force to get you through the subject. Next thing, and this is really critical, that they read for recreation. Now, this doesn't mean to say that I'm going to read next week's chapters for recreation. It means something off topic or near topic, but something that's not prescribed reading for your courses, and you want to be reading between 30 to 40 minutes a day every day for recreation. And what this does for you is it maintains your reading speed when you are actually studying. Okay, so a really good student will read for recreation. Okay, so what have we looked at? Our take homes today is that you treat your studies and your attendance at class like a really high paying job. You do what you need to look after yourself by the way of good diet, good sleep, good exercise routines. Do everything you can not to be late or to miss classes. You turn up prepared to learn, both with your equipment and your mental attitude. You're not frightened to ask questions. If you have a bad grade, you don't take your bat and ball and drop the course. You use that as a driving motivation to improve. And you read for recreation every day of the week of 30 to 40 minutes. Okay, think about a couple of these that you might not be doing now that you could pick up and run with straight away. And next session we'll talk about what we can do with our 24 hours in a day and how we can slice it up and spend that valuable time. This has been John from the IT Guru. Look forward to seeing you in the next class.